York is often defined by the bright lights of Manhattan or the grandeur of the Statue of Liberty. But beyond that familiar image, the state holds a quieter history, one marked by settlements that have been erased from the map. From mining towns where entire houses were moved by truck to neighborhoods intentionally flooded for dam projects, the story of ghost towns in New York is not just about haunted legends. It is about deindustrialization, environmental failure, and shifting transportation routes that forced thousands of people to leave their lives behind. The following list highlights 15 locations, ranging from ruins now reclaimed by forests to small towns still struggling with extreme population decline and economic collapse. In the near future, some of them may fully disappear and become the next ghost towns. Have you ever imagined a town forced to give way to what lies beneath it? Tahawus, deep in the Adirondacks, is one of the most extreme examples of land cleared for industry. It began as a typical iron mining settlement, but during World War II, demand for titanium, once considered an unwanted impurity in iron ore, suddenly surged. The problem was that one of the largest titanium deposits sat directly beneath the town itself. In 1963, the National Lead Company made a decision that seems almost unbelievable. They lifted entire houses, loaded them onto massive trucks, and relocated them 11 miles away to the town of Newcomb. What remains in Tahawus today is only the skeleton of a town. Visitors who travel through the Upper Works area can still see a towering 15-meter iron furnace standing alone, surrounded by leaning wooden structures covered in moss. The silence feels unnatural, as if the entire town was removed almost overnight. Moving west toward Niagara Falls, Love Canal tells a very different story. This is not a ghost town created by economic collapse, but by contamination. In the 1940s, a chemical company buried thousands of tons of toxic waste in a partially built canal. Later, homes and a school were constructed on top of it, with no warning to residents. By the late 1970s, the consequences became impossible to ignore. Black, foul-smelling liquid began seeping into basements, and rates of miscarriages and birth defects rose sharply. Public outrage followed, leading President Jimmy Carter to declare a federal emergency. More than 800 families were evacuated, and their homes were eventually demolished. Today, the central area of Love Canal is an empty field, fenced off with warning signs still in place. Roads end abruptly in overgrown grass, and sidewalks lead nowhere. In the middle of the East River, between the busy Bronx and Rikers Island, lies a 20-hectare island that feels completely cut off from time. North Brother Island was once home to Riverside Hospital, a quarantine facility for patients with deadly infectious diseases such as typhoid and smallpox. The infamous Typhoid Mary spent the final years of her life in isolation here until her death in 1938. After the site was fully abandoned in 1963, nature quickly took over. Today, the hospital buildings, nurses' quarters, and power structures are all being reclaimed by forest. Large trees grow through rooftops, and thick vines wrap around the old red brick walls. Access to the island is strictly restricted and monitored by New York City authorities, making it one of the most untouched and preserved ghost locations in the region. So untouched, in fact, that old medical records and equipment still lie scattered on damp floors, slowly decaying with time. While North Brother Island was abandoned for health reasons, this next place faded due to changing lifestyles and infrastructure that simply moved past it. In Liberty, there stands a ruin that feels more like a self-contained town than just a resort. Grossinger's was once a symbol of the Borscht Belt era, a premier summer destination for New Yorkers in the mid-20th century. The complex was so large it had its own zip code and even a private airstrip. At its peak, thousands of guests filled its grand halls to watch performances by top comedians. But as air travel became more accessible, and people began vacationing overseas, its popularity declined. Grossinger's closed in 1986 and was left to decay. Today, the scene is both cinematic and deeply melancholic. Its once futuristic indoor pool is now filled with moss and rainwater, while Tudor-style roofs are collapsing. It stands as a striking reminder of how an entertainment empire can turn into a silent concrete ruin within just a few decades. Parksville's story shows how a single infrastructure decision can quietly erase a town. For decades, its main road served as a vital route for travelers heading into the Catskill Mountains. But in 2011, a bypass highway project, Route 17, was completed, redirecting traffic away from the town center. Within months, Parksville's economy collapsed. Restaurants, grocery stores, and gas stations that once relied on passing drivers suddenly lost their customers. Driving through the main street today feels like moving through an abandoned movie set. Storefronts still stand with faded signs, while silence has replaced what was once a busy roadside stop. In Onondaga County, Split Rock holds a darker chapter tied to World War I. Originally a limestone quarry, the site was transformed into a massive munitions factory producing TNT. On the night of July 2, 1918, a fire triggered a catastrophic chain explosion. The blast was felt miles away, killing at least 50 workers and destroying much of the facility. The plant never fully recovered and was abandoned in the 1920s. Today, the remains of thick limestone walls and shattered concrete structures are slowly being reclaimed by dense forest. Trails around the site reveal haunting scenes, old machinery ruins and cracked foundations standing as quiet memorials to those who died. The silence there feels heavy, especially when contrasted with its past, once filled with the deafening noise of industry and explosions. Sometimes, a town has to sink so others can stay dry. Conklingville, located in the Sacandaga Valley, was literally erased from the map in 1930 to make way for the Conklingville Dam. The goal was to create a massive reservoir to control flooding along the Hudson River, which frequently threatened areas like Albany. Residents were forced to sell their ancestral land and watch as the green valley they once called home slowly disappeared beneath rising water. Beneath the surface of the Sacandaga Reservoir, an entire submerged world still exists. Old roads and building foundations remain hidden below. During periods of extreme drought, when water levels drop significantly, parts of this lost town sometimes reappear. Fishermen and locals occasionally spot fragments of walls emerging from the water, as if the town is trying to rise again from beneath its watery grave. In Bear Mountain, Doodle Town tells a different kind of story, a community that lasted for nearly 2 centuries before being systematically removed by New York state authorities between the 1920s and 1960s. The reason was the expansion of a state park and the protection of water resources. Residents were gradually forced to sell their homes until nothing remained. Today, Doodle Town is a true ghost town, reduced to little more than foundations. No buildings stand intact, but informational signs mark where homes, schools, and streets once existed. It is a powerful example of how an entire community can slowly vanish for the sake of environmental preservation, leaving behind only names on wooden markers hidden within dense forest. Moving from places that have completely disappeared, South Fallsburg represents something different, but equally troubling. It is not empty, but it is shrinking in a painful way. Located in Sullivan County, this town reflects post-tourism decline after the collapse of the Catskills resort era. Poverty rates consistently exceed 30%, making it one of the most economically fragile areas in New York. Walking through its main streets reveals aging Victorian buildings with peeling paint and boarded-up windows. The disappearance of the Catskills hotel industry, once the backbone of the local economy, left a void that is yet to be filled. Many younger residents have moved away in search of better opportunities, leaving behind an aging population and deteriorating infrastructure. South Fallsburg now stands at a crossroads, whether it can reinvent itself or continue fading into a forgotten chapter of New York's history. There is something deeply ironic about Niagara Falls. On one side, the state park shines brightly, attracting millions of tourists every year. But just a few blocks away, the city itself tells a very different story, one of mass deindustrialization. In 1950, Niagara Falls was a thriving industrial hub, home to more than 100,000 residents. Today, that number has dropped to below 48,000. Step away from the tourist zone, and the contrast becomes clear. Abandoned houses, empty lots overgrown with weeds, and entire neighborhoods where vacancy rates are so high they resemble ghost towns. Despite ongoing efforts to attract new residents, the steady population decline remains one of the city's biggest challenges. In Buffalo, particularly on the east side, urban decline is happening on a massive but uneven scale. Like South Fallsburg, this is not a completely abandoned town. It is part of a larger city that is slowly disappearing from within. Thousands of homes have been abandoned and later demolished by city authorities in an effort to reduce crime. The result is a strange urban landscape. A single well-maintained house may stand surrounded by multiple empty lots now covered in tall grass. Infrastructure systems like water and electricity, once built for dense neighborhoods, now serve only a handful of residents on each block. The East Side has become a stark example of the struggle between attempts at recovery and the ongoing reality of population loss that shows little sign of stopping. The name itself tells the story. Gloversville was once responsible for producing nearly 90% of all gloves in the United States. This small city in Fulton County used to attract skilled workers from around the world. But when manufacturing jobs moved overseas in the mid-20th century, the very foundation of the city's existence began to disappear. Today, its population is at one of the lowest points in over a century. Large abandoned buildings dominate the skyline, including former schools, giving the city a heavy and quiet atmosphere. There have been efforts to repurpose old factories into art spaces, but the scale of economic decline is significant. Gloversville stands as a classic example of what can happen to a single industry town that fails to adapt before its industry fades away. A similar story unfolds in Lackawanna, a city that rose and fell with steel. The Bethlehem steel plant here once employed more than 20,000 workers. But when the plant permanently shut down in 1983, it triggered a mass exodus, shrinking the city's population by nearly 40%. Today, much of the former steel complex has become a vast brownfield along the edge of Lake Erie. Lackawanna stands as a city searching for a new identity after the heart of its industry stopped beating decades ago, leaving behind aging neighborhoods struggling to remain relevant in a modern economy. Along the Hudson River, Newburgh tells a story of contrast between a grand past and a challenging present. The city faced decline after the construction of the Newburgh Beacon Bridge ended ferry services, while highway development bypassed its commercial center. For a time, it also became known for high crime rates. Although there has been a wave of new residents from New York City seeking affordable historic homes, deeper challenges remain. Many of its historic buildings still sit vacant due to the high cost of restoration. Newburgh stands at a crossroads. It holds significant potential, but remains caught in cycles of decline and economic uncertainty. Finally, there is Utica, a city that has lost more than a third of its population since 1960. The collapse of textile manufacturing and heavy industry left behind infrastructure that is now too large for its reduced population. Many downtown shops have closed, and old shopping centers feel like monuments to a different era. One unique aspect of Utica is the arrival of thousands of international refugees, which has helped slow population decline. Even so, the city remains statistically among those struggling against long-term demographic trends. Utica represents a place attempting a controlled landing, trying to stabilize before fully slipping into decline. New York ultimately shows that progress often comes with a cost, sometimes paid in memories and entire communities. These places are not just abandoned buildings or empty land, they are reminders of how fragile economic stability can be. Whether through sudden environmental disasters or slow-moving industrial decline, a town can disappear within decades. In the end, studying these remnants offers a sobering perspective. Even the cities we admire today could one day become quiet history,